Stop! Before you close this video, you need to hear what I'm about to tell you. Because the 2026 draft is coming, the Baltimore Ravens have the 14th overall pick, and from the outside, yes, from the outside, this team looks strong. Lamar Jackson is still the best player on the planet. The defense has big names. The franchise is always competing. But open the hood of this roster, dig deep, and you'll find 3 serious problems that most fans still aren't seeing properly. 3 situations that could destroy the 2026 season even before kickoff in September. Stick with me until the end, because after this video, you'll never look at the Ravens draft the same way again. Let's start with the problem that nobody wants to admit out loud. Derrick Henry is 32 years old, and that, my friend, suffers an injury in September, October, or simply begins to decline, as history suggests he will. Baltimore doesn't have a plan B, not even a plan C. Rookie offensive coordinator Declan Doyle comes straight from the Sean Payton school, which is absolutely obsessed with versatility in the running game. Doyle worked last year in Chicago with Ben Johnson, who got an exceptional performance out of Kyle Monangai, a 7th-round pick, even with DeAndre Swift already on the roster. And there's a name circulating behind the scenes of the 2026 draft that perfectly fits this profile: Jadarian Price, from Notre Dame. Explosive on special teams, great hands, capable of being used in multiple ways on and off the field. Exactly the type of running back Doyle was trained to develop. The question is, will the Ravens act now, or will they wait for Henry to collapse halfway through the season? And if the problem in the running game is already a time bomb, wait until you hear what's happening with the position that underpins the entire Ravens offensive system. Because the man who should be Lamar Jackson's plan B could become a nightmare before preseason training is even over. Lamar Jackson, 2 MVPs, 1 Super Bowl, the richest contract in history for a quarterback. The guy is untouchable, right? Right. But here's the question no fan wants to ask out loud. What if Lamar isn't in preseason training in 2026? This isn't fantasy. This isn't catastrophizing. With a completely new offensive system being installed by Declan Doyle, who has never been a lead offensive coordinator in the NFL before and is adapting the scheme he learned from Sean Payton over years in New Orleans, there's a real possibility that Lamar will miss a significant portion of training while this entire new system is built from scratch. And who's the backup today? Cooper Rush was a total disaster. Snoop Huntley has a contract extension that's an interesting story on paper, but installing a backup quarterback in a completely new system isn't like changing a part in a car. It's assembling an entire engine without an instruction manual. The Ravens already know this. A year ago, they worked hard behind the scenes with Jalen Milroe, trying to develop a young quarterback within the organization. It wasn't for nothing. The franchise understands that it needs someone with real potential. And now, with a rookie coordinator implementing a new system from scratch, the perfect time to bet on a rough diamond at the position is exactly this 2026 draft. The name that's circulating, and that makes a lot of sense, is Haynes King from Georgia Tech. Physically dominant, he can throw well enough to deserve a real opportunity, and he evades opponents with the same ease with which he runs them over. He's not a quarterback. Conventional. He's a hybrid. The kind of player Sean Payton turned into a secret weapon when he had Taysom Hill in New Orleans, even with the legendary Drew Brees as the starter. A human Swiss Army knife at the quarterback position. And guess who's eyeing Haynes King? Sean Payton himself. Who is Declan Doyle's mentor? Coincidence? Probably not. Lamar is nearing 30. He's absorbed an absurd amount of punishment throughout his career, run tirelessly, and been tackled too many times to count. The Ravens just let all-pro fullback Pat Ricard go in free agency because he didn't fit the new scheme. Maybe King fits perfectly, and a 7th-round pick to solve that problem would be one of the best investments in the franchise's recent history. But if a backup quarterback is already a sleepless situation, the next problem will leave you speechless, because he's at the heart of the Ravens' defense, costs $20 million a year, and the numbers show that this investment is turning into a black hole in Baltimore's salary cap. Roquan Smith. When the Ravens brought him from Chicago, it was one of the most exciting moves this franchise has made in years. One of the best linebackers in the game, a formidable physical presence, natural leadership. Baltimore was building something special, but what's happening with Roquan Smith in 2026 is a story of decline that needs to be told bluntly, because the Ravens need to act before it's too late. Let's get straight to the numbers, because they don't lie and they show no mercy. Last season, Smith recorded the fewest individual tackles since 2019, the lowest percentage of defensive snaps with tackles in his entire career, the fewest number of pressures since 2021. And in coverage, which is where the hole is most visible, opposing quarterbacks completed 72% of passes against him when he was still in Chicago. In Baltimore, that number rose to 79%. The average yards per completed pass jumped from 8.7 to 9.6. This isn't a drop in performance. It's a slow-motion collapse. But the problem goes beyond the statistics. Roquan Smith's contract has $20 million guaranteed for this 2026 season. It doesn't have a penny guaranteed for 2027. The Ravens are stuck with him for another year, yes. But postponing any future planning because of the salary cap would be a huge strategic mistake. The risk doesn't compensate for the momentary relief. The organization needs to start building the succession plan now in the 2026 draft, while it still has room to maneuver. The decline began when Mike McDonald left the organization. Perhaps there will be a recovery with defensive coordinator Jesse Minter at the helm in 2026. It's possible. It's fair to consider. But the data is the data. Smith is less physically present on the line of scrimmage, is a consistent weak point in coverage, and is costing a fortune for a performance that no longer justifies that price. Teed Buchanan, a fourth-round pick, has taken advantage of the opportunities he's had and has real potential, but playing every snap as the starting linebacker in a sophisticated defense led by Minter is a huge burden for a young player still developing. Baltimore needs more. The name analysts are closely monitoring for the 2026 draft is C.J. Allen, also from the University of Georgia. Interestingly, the same program that produced Roquan Smith himself. Allen has the profile of the next-generation linebacker the Ravens need, but he may not be available as soon as some imagine. The second round might be too early considering the other urgent needs of the roster, but that doesn't mean ignoring the problem. It means finding the right timing and cost to solve it intelligently. What's at stake here is very simple. The Ravens' defense has been built around Roquan Smith for years, and if he continues at this level of performance in 2026, Baltimore will pay $20 million for a weak point within its own defense. The succession plan can't wait for the 2027 draft. It needs to start now. So there you have it, fans. The Ravens enter the 2026 draft with 11 picks, 11 chances to fix the engine before it breaks down on the highway mid-season, a running back to build the future beyond Derrick Henry before decline knocks on the door. A young quarterback with the potential to learn the new system alongside Lamar and be ready when needed. And a linebacker who begins to shape the future without Roquan Smith at the center of the defense. From the outside, this team looks ready to contend for the Super Bowl. And it might just be. But internally, those three gears are rusting. And the 2026 draft is the biggest window this franchise has to fix all of that before the season starts and the problems surface.